this is Kermit the Frog.
Fascinating.
I'm Captain Kirk.
Magic is always there, as long as we keep looking for it.
Engage.
What does God need with a starship?
Thank you, love you. Mwah.
I protest. I am not a merry man.
Places, please. And here we go.
Down at Fraggle Rock.
Welcome, Doozers, Gorgs, Trash Heaps, I did an alien name I can't pronounce, Acamarians and things, to episode 160 right. of the MuppeTrek Podcast. I'm Jarman.
And I'm Steve. We are on a continuing journey across the stars to compare and contrast the creative worlds of Jim Henson and Gene Roddenberry.
What started as reviews of The Muppet Show and Star Trek the original series has expanded into outer space.
And this week we have Fraggle Rock episode Red's Club and Next Generation episode The Vengeance Factor.
Ooh, but before we do that, Steve, I want to rock.
There are all kinds of gems, jewels, and geodes in the world, many of which can be found in Fraggle Rock, and this week's is Corderite. First named in 1813 by geologist Louis Cordier. It might be Cordierite. I'm honestly not sure.
I think so.
From French perspective, that's right, but I don't know. The gem quality version of this mineral is called iolite, and this actually was used by the Vikings and was one of the secrets to their early navigational success. The issue is that a lot of navigation was done by the sun, but during massive times of the year, there was cloud cover, and they literally couldn't figure out where the hell the sun was. What they found is that if they cut iolite into thin sheets, they could hold it up to the clouds, and it would identify for them where the sun was, even during overcast.
How the hell did they figure that out?
This allowed them to navigate year round.
Wow.
And once again, one of the early Viking successes. Due to its ability to heat rapidly, it's really common in kilns and like catalytic converters in machinery. It's often used by geologists as an investigative tool. Not only does it take immense pressure and heat to form, which helps them to sort of build a profile of the rocks around them in the same rock layer, but it also has channels in its structure that hold on to water, which can then be extracted, and then they can analyze the water to gain information about the conditions under which it formed. So it's like a little Sherlock Holmes rock.
I love comparing this to the rocks you talk about that do absolutely nothing, and this one has so many uses.
This one does things.
Yeah.
So that is Corderite, and that rocks.
I want to rock!
Hell yeah.
What's happened this week on Fraggle Rock? Well, what's up, Doc? Doc has some bad news for Sprocket. His application to the Top Dog Club has been rejected. Ooh. Doc tries to talk Sprocket off the edge and suggests, man, you should start your own club. They compile a list of potential dog club members, but Doc slowly eliminates every one of them in the neighborhood for reasons ranging everywhere from them being too big to one bit him. Sprocket decides that he doesn't want a club anymore if no one can be in it, and Doc decides, the heck with it. We're going to include every dog in the club, no one excluded. Even the garbage collector is invited to be in the Underdog Club. But what's going down in Fraggle Rock? Red sings a lively song, 1 and 1, where she sort of competes against each of the other Fraggles in everything ranging from singing high to running, declaring herself the victor in each of these self-imposed competitions. But Gobo and the others are tired and they don't want to compete anymore. This upsets Red, who thinks she should be the boss. Well, she runs into 3, I'll just call them dummy Fraggles, who agree that she should be the boss and she should be the leader of the club. What a great idea. Back at the Rock, Gobo and the others complete paintings, and Gobo decides to read Uncle Traveling Matt's postcard. Uncle Traveling Matt discovers a powerful cave, capable of summoning little silly creatures with a loud ringing sound. Matt is baffled as the ringing sound sounds out to summon and dismiss the silly creatures repeatedly. Red pitches her club to the others. It's going to be a helping club, but everyone else sort of commandeers and puts their own ideas and rules on it. And then much to Red's dismay, they then elect Gobo the leader of Red's club that she's trying to make. She is so upset. She goes to start another club in a rage, setting a rule where they don't talk to anyone in Gobo's club. but she quickly loses all her members and finds herself alone. She goes searching for more people to join and finds Cotter Pin Doozer stuck up on a high rock. She helps her down and invites Cotter Pin to join the club. Red sings the song, The Rules Song, laying out all the different rules to her club and then amending them so that Cotter Pin doesn't have to leave the club because she really needs Cotter Pin to be in the club. Gobo comes along. Red ends up hiding Cotter Pin because she's ashamed of the fact that her only member is a doozer.
Racist.
Red decides to be more helpful than Gobo, she's going to help Cotter Pin extra hard. So there's a scene of her putting Cotter Pin in continuously more dangerous situations to then go help Cotter Pin from the dangerous situations that she put Cotter Pin in. Meanwhile, Gobo and the others are talking and somewhat joking about the next step in their club to go and help a Gorg. Which Red overhears and decides, well, she's going to do that. But Cotter Pin has had enough of this crap and she quits. Red heads to the Gorg's garden to help a Gorg. Pa Gorg has lost something and she volunteers to go on the end of a fishing line and be dangled down the well to get it for him. She pulls up the handkerchief, but realizes that Pa Gorg is up to no good. Her friends come to check on her, and Pa Gorg catches them all in a cage. Red throws them the fishing line to hook onto the cage and then jumps down into the well, acting as a cantilever, I think is the name, pulling up the cage and freeing the Fraggles while she lands in the Fraggle pond below. After that, everybody wants to join Red's club, and Red's first rule is to dissolve the club because they don't need a club. They only need each other.
The friends you made along the way.
And what do doozers do this week? Well, Cotter Pin climbs high to get a different perspective on a tower that she's building, and the architect disapproves. Cotter Pin in turn gets stuck, but luckily Red Fraggle comes along to help her down. Cotter Pin is basically dragged around by Red, given confusing club rules, and then is put in high, scary places repeatedly, only to be rescued and then put somewhere else even more dangerous over and over. Cotter Pin draws a line in the sand and quits. She goes and warns the other Fraggles that Red is headed to the Gorg's garden and about to do something stupid. And for the first time in episodes in the Gorg's garden, Pa and Ma Gorg wander out to the well where Ma has dropped her handkerchief, which is halfway down. Pa can't reach it and Ma weeps uncontrollably. He uses Junior's fishing line but struggles to catch hold, but luckily a Fraggle shows up and he ties it to the end of the line. He pulls it up, goes to get a cage, and ends up catching 4 other Fraggles. He turns for a moment, and when he looks back, those pesky Fraggles have all escaped.
Son of a gun.
So, Jordan, what did you think of this week's episode of Fraggle Rock, Red's Club?
So, did you catch the mention of Rolf in the Sprocket dock scene?
No, it must have been fast. Most of those were. Like, he was rambling through stuff.
So, he went through all these names of dogs that weren't going to be in the club. And he says, what I thought at first was like, was that Rolf or Ruff? So, I rewound it. And sure enough, he says, Rolf. And then you hear Sprocket go, Rolf? And he goes, no, not Rolf either, because something else. And then later on, when they're saying everyone could be in the club, he says his name again very quickly. And it's just like, they're talking about Rolf the dog. And I was like, that's so cute.
I missed it. It was so fast, those scenes.
I had to rewind it. It was really fast. A good little Easter egg there. But I also like this budding friendship we have with Red and Cotter Pin, because that's been 2 episodes now where they've had little like excursions together. And like, she's like, I remember you. And so it's like, they're getting to know the doozers. They should all come together. But then she terrorizes Cotter Pin, so ruins the whole friendship by putting her up on high places over and over again. Oh my God. That was
that was cruel.
It was terribly cruel. She emotionally terrorizes Cotter Pin. But yeah, I think it was a fun episode. It went by pretty fast for me. There wasn't a lot of lulls in the action. There's hijinks with the Fraggles. There were lessons learned. There was good. I like the songs. They're pretty decent songs. They're fast and cute. That whole 1 + 1 + 1 = 3. Then 1 and 1 is 2. A song at the beginning was great. But still no trash heap. Where is our trash heap?
I know. When she went to the Gorg's garden, I was like, oh my God, are we finally going to get Trash Heap? And while I was happy to have Gorgs, which we have also been missing, I really wanted Marjorie. I was so bummed that there was no Marjorie.
No.
I wish there was a little bit more music. I wish.
Yeah.
One more song. I'm not asking for a lot more, but I do like the songs that they had, and they were quick. I agree. The pacing on this episode was really good. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't that it was breakneck. It's just that there was always a next logical thing. The only lull really came when the Fraggles were painting, and they had to find an excuse to cut back to Gobo for Uncle Traveling Matt's postcard.
I can see it.
That was sort of the only point where I was like, why are we back here? Oh, it's literally just for Uncle Traveling Matt's postcard. But yeah, I loved the Cotterpin interactions. I wish that we would see a different storyline from Red. Just a little. Every storyline is like, I want to be in charge. No one listens to me. Like every single time it seems to be that. And I get that it's her character, but I want to see a different thing.
And like maybe we can stop seeing individual episodes with one of the friends of this Fraggle group being excised or leaving the group because they're angry at the rest of them. Like we've had like 3 or 4 of those. So let's just get back to them all being friends and working together. That'd be kind of nice. Because we had Boober going out to be by himself. We've had Wembley go off twice because people won't listen to him or they're making fun of him. It's like, and now Red's going off.
He wants to become a wizard or whatever.
Yeah. Moki went off to become a wizard too, I think.
Minstrel wizard.
Yeah. So let's just keep them together. How about that? We're good now. We got it.
But I really did dig this episode. It could end up pretty high this season for me.
Yeah, I put like an upper middle episode because I think I'm noticing with my low attention span with the internet these days that some of these episodes feel so slow to me because of just they're filmed in an old school way for kids. That way it's actually slow moving, not like Coco Melon or something, And so, but when I have an episode like this, I didn't feel like it was slow at all. I felt like I kind of just went through and had a good pacing. So yeah, it was upper middle for me. It was good.
Can I tell you an embarrassing thing that I noticed while watching this episode for the first time ever?
Oh, of course.
And we've watched so many of these now. This is extra embarrassing. So in the opening credits, Gobo's running through all the caves. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden, he comes to the end of the cave. He's in Fraggle Rock. He turns, and it's him and the rest of the gang. My brain had never put together before that they were blue screen and he was in the camera.
Oh, I don't know if I've noticed that either.
Right. And I only noticed it because I was like, man, his window with Wembley is bad. And I'm like, that's because he's not actually there. They posed the other Fraggles around where he was going to be in the plate.
Mm-hmm. Because he was running into the frame.
Right. He was running into blue screen and then turned. And they were then the frame. So I was just one of those like, man, Steve, how have you watched this so many times? I've never thought about that.
Well, that's good. They pull it off on you all these years because it was well done.
Yeah, it really was. So what did you think was the best Muppeteering moment this week?
I'd have to say I really did love it was a mixture of green screen, the big Gorg and the small Fraggle and the large size Fraggle, putting that the whole sequence of putting Red down in the well on the fishing line, that had to have combined 3 different kinds of shots. So that all together is pretty complicated. And then having her go down on the string and then pulling it and then cut away and she falls in the water. I mean, that whole thing. Think about how many shots and different angles and sized puppets that was. So that's pretty insane.
Oh, yeah. For what equated to not to say a bit, but
20 seconds.
Like a 2-minute thing start to finish.
Yeah, exactly. What about you?
I'm going to give it to, I love that sequence of Red putting Cotterpin in more and more dangerous situations.
It was so mean.
The performance of Cotterpin, how they were able to maneuver the puppets in different angles, where the Red was picking them up so that the cables could run down the legs and still get the control or be on all of that was just choreographed really well and was very successful.
And shaking Cotterpin a bit because she's terrified.
And then you add to that the fact that the Doozers are already sort of incredible from a puppetry and miniature perspective. It just took it over the edge.
What's our phrase now? Something about all about Doozers or
all Doozers, best Doozers.
All Doozers, best Doozers. Exactly.
So, Jordan, what happened in this week's episode of Star Trek: The Next Generation?
Ooh, Star Trek. So we have the Vengeance Factor. After finding some colonists dead on a planet, I believe it was colonists, I kind of missed the really quick intro they did of this, which isn't too important. The Enterprise crew figured out that these people were killed by a group of space pirates called the Gatherers from a planet called Akamar 3. So the Enterprise heads to their home planet to hopefully solve this issue of the Gatherer pirates once and for all. And they meet with Maruk, the leader of the Akamarians, who tells them that the Akamarians used to be in constant civil wars and disputes with different tribes over 100 years ago. But one group wouldn't stop fighting, so they were exiled into space, and they became the space pirates called the Gatherers that Picard is trying to stop now. So Picard convinces Maruk to at least come with him to try to talk to the Gatherers and try to convince them to come back to Akamar 3 and stop their space pirating, because nobody wants to be a space pirate forever. She insists on also bringing along her servant Yuta, who as soon as she walks in the room, Riker is immediately attracted to, and he isn't shy about it. They head to a planet they think the Gatherers are currently camping at, and after unsuccessful ambush by the Gatherers onto the Enterprise crew, they eventually convince the camp leader Brol to talk to them. And after some back and forth, which we don't entirely see on screen with Maruk, Brol is convinced that they might just be a good idea for them to go back to Akamaria. It's like America, but Akamerica. But first they have to convince their actual overall leader named Chorgon, who is elsewhere. And while they're discussing things, Yuta, the servant girl, sneaks off and she kills one of the Gatherers, an old dude, simply by touching his face. She sneaks away, and then once they find his body, all hell breaks loose. And when Dr. Crusher beams down to check it out, it looks like a simple heart attack, but she's suspicious because this is weird. His heart seems fine. So Brol then heads to the Enterprise with the rest of them to go out and find Chorgon to convince him to come back home to Akamar 3. But in the meantime, while traveling, Riker almost gets it on with Yuta, but she's acting like being with him is her duty as a servant, and Riker shuts that down because he says he only wants to be an equal, not a servant, as someone romantically involved. So they finally get to where Chorgon's ship is hanging out, and after he tries shooting at them with his very primitive weapons, they eventually laugh at him and basically establish a meeting, and they beam on board his ship with Maruk. And he's very skeptical of the whole thing, doesn't trust Maruk, but with some masterful mediation from Picard, they are almost making some headway. But back on the Enterprise, Data, Crusher, and Riker are investigating the death of that old Gatherer that had a heart attack, and they find out that he was actually killed by a bioengineered virus that specifically targets people in his tribe only, which is very weird. And they do some digging and find out that another in his tribe was also killed 53 years ago, right before he was about to go to trial for wiping out another tribe. Are you guys still following? And in a photo right before the trial, when he died, they see Yuta in the background, who has not aged a day in 53 years. So they also find out that Chorgon, the leader of the Gatherers, who's right now negotiating with Maruk and Picard, he's the last living person in that tribe. So Riker freaks out. He quickly beams over to the Gatherer ship, and he stops Yuta before she's about to serve Chorgon a drink and poison him. And she keeps trying to approach him to kill him, but Riker shoots her with a phaser just to stun her, but it doesn't even stop her. And she reveals that she was sworn to take vengeance on her slain tribe, and she was bioengineered to live longer so she could complete the mission and kill every last one of the tribe that killed her tribe. And she won't stop after being shot with a phaser twice. So Riker has to turn the settings beep, 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 all the way up to maximum power, which completely disintegrates her. So Chorgon is very grateful to Riker, and the reintegration talks complete with Maruk, and the Gatherers presumably return to Akamar 3 to reintegrate with their homeworld. But Riker's very depressed about having to kill Yuta, who he never got to sleep with. So Picard tries to make him feel better.
That is a bummer.
It's a bummer, dude. Give me a drink. So he gives him and the rest of the crew get much needed shore leave, and we roll credits. So, Steve, what'd you think of The Vengeance Factor?
I think this is an episode that started really promising and then spiraled from there. Okay. I think that's sort of I loved the opening, the unknown of the Gatherers and who they were, and they were kind of portrayed as spooky, and then to find out that they're space pirates, and not even very well equipped space pirates, was underwhelming.
I can see that.
There was something funny about Yuta being the cook, but also the food taster. Which was interesting, but it was already incredibly suspicious. It raised some big questions. And it really choreographed what was going to happen in a way that, like, I don't know what's going to happen, but Yuta's it. I don't know what it is, but Yuta's it. Another really great, they just had a bigger budget this season. You could feel it. A great soundstage / set when they went down to the planet to look for the gatherers. That scaffolding multi-level thing was just very good and very good looking. I love that Worf's security training finally paid off, where he's like, it's an ambush. Like, finally, Worf, you did something in your job description. While Yuta was confusing from a character perspective, I do admit I didn't see Yuta as the vengeful antagonist coming. I didn't know what the deal was, but I didn't assume that she was the vengeful antagonist. So I guess like good job for them.
Yeah, like she was being forced to do something because she seemed so sad as opposed to angry. So they kind of did that switch pretty well, I thought.
And then I wrote, man, this episode really drags. After they come up from the planet and they go and they find Jar, that whole thing is just slow with no big advancing movements in the plot, because it's just them doing research and then the negotiations. That's kind of it. And it really slogs. I did enjoy the portrayal of the two-sided diplomacy. Mm-hmm. It was probably the most realistic diplomacy that we've seen in Star Trek.
A little back and forth and everything.
Back and forth and people coming to understand, which was nice to see. And then the ending with Yuta, I didn't get it. I didn't quite understand. I was the chosen one. They changed me and I live longer. I'm RoboCop, I guess. Like, I didn't know, I didn't understand, and there was nothing in the plot before that point to make it make sense. At least not that I caught.
It was unnecessary convolution where they could have just had it that she was the descendant of the last member of that tribe.
Yeah, she didn't need to be.
No. Like this random explain away thing that she was genetically engineered. So let me get this straight. They can genetically engineer someone to live forever, seemingly, and look young, but they can't get good phasers for their ships. Like, what? Like, I don't understand. That's weird.
And I did like Riker trying to give her a chance.
Yeah.
And then just watching her kind of compel, like, this is literally her life's mission. She doesn't know who she is without this. Like, all that translated well, but I agree it didn't need to be a magical youth serum person.
Yeah, it could have been a descendant. That would have been so easy. Just like, she's the granddaughter of the last person who survived or something.
Right. Something where they find a record that she changed her name and it was blank and, same research shit could have happened. Which, mind you, also would have been a slog. That was one of the issues. But
I surprisingly didn't feel the slog as much in this episode as you did. I can see where you would get that from. Yeah, because there wasn't a lot, like, action-wise going on, moving of the plot. But I like the scene of, like, what's his name? Broll, the crazy pirate guy. With him and Wesley had a few good scenes where he's like, I have a son your age. Like talking to him about his math homework and stuff, and the great Picard diplomacy moments were fun. And one of my favorites was actually when the Broll guy goes on the Enterprise deck. What's it called? Not the deck, the bridge for the first time, and he sees Wesley behind the comm. He's like, "What the hell is there doing a child on the bridge?" And then Picard just stares at him, doesn't say a word. And you see Broll, this like crazy big space pirate, go, "Oh, okay, sorry," because he's like terrified of Picard. And I was like, that was badass. But yeah, and those forced Riker romances are a little still cringy, where like they're trying to make him into the Captain Kirk swagger thing every episode that he's in almost. I think that does calm down later on, but they don't need to keep forcing him to like hit on everything that moves on the ship.
Yeah.
Because he just stares at her when she comes on board. He just looks her up and down to her face. Doesn't even care. A little rough to watch.
Fun fact here. The guy who played Chorgan the like lead space pirate, not Brull, but the other guy, played by actor Stephen Lee, who is in Carnosaur 3 that we recently reviewed.
Oh my God.
For a Play on Nerds. I think he was the one where I was like, yeah, there's a guy. His career made it out of this. It was Stephen Lee.
I think he was a security guard or something, wasn't he?
He was like at the beginning, there's military guys, and I think he tells a guy to pee off the back of a Jeep.
Yeah. Great career.
So he is Chorgan.
But yeah, there was still some good ensemble moments from most of the people. Got a good line or two in there that were in character. So I thought a solid episode, but not really anything profound. And it wasn't bad. I don't know. That's just my opinion of it, but
yeah, it wasn't bad. I just had some major pacing issues, and then it just was too convoluted. It had to be Yuta. It was tipped too early that something had to be wrong with her.
Mm.
And then the reveal that she was like a RoboCop or whatever. Like it didn't make sense.
It could have been simpler, a lot simpler.
It could have been simpler.
Yeah. Well,
so probably this will not end up in the top, but
no.
I didn't hate this.
It'll sit comfortably in that middle sandwich, I think.
Yeah, we will never talk about it again because it's in the middle. That's really the fact.
Obscurity, it will remain.
That's right.
So a few Trek facts here. The Federation Science Outpost attacked by the Gatherers just prior to the episode fully beginning. It was used as a large scenic background painting originally from Forbidden Planet, the series 1956, or is that a movie? I think it's a movie, right? The painting is a planetscape seen through the window of the station, and it just was sitting around, so they used it on set. It's been around since 1956, and so they still have this old painting that they used in this episode. This episode marks the reported meeting of actress Marina Sirtis, Deanna Troi, and her future husband, Michael Lamper, who is not in the normal credits because he was only an extra in this episode. And she met him on this episode, and they later on got married. So that's pretty cool.
All right.
She'll remember this episode forever, but we won't. Volnath, the guy who gets touched in the face and has a heart attack, the old space pirate, his armor was recycled Borg costuming from Q Who. You could kind of tell it was very Borg looking.
Yeah, I could see it.
For some reason, he was like the only guy in all black. I don't know why. This was the last episode that aired in the 1980s in the U.S. So this is the last 80s episode of Star Trek that was ever aired, which is pretty interesting, I guess, decade-wise.
All right.
Everything else from now on is in the 90s.
The best decade,
hell yeah,
some would say.
So what Trek connects we got this time around, Steve?
Yuta was played by actress Lisa Wilcox, who played the role of Missy Preston in 1992's, and this I didn't even know existed, Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventures, a live-action TV series that had 7 episodes.
Whoa.
In this show, replacing Rufus, like George Carlin's Rufus, was actor Rick Overton, who, if you looked him up, you would recognize him from something. Mm. He also played Deputy Pete Willis in the movie Eight-Legged Freaks, which, as we all know, starred David Arquette, who starred as a helpful angel in It's a Very Merry Muppet Christmas Movie. Now it's a holiday episode, just like that. The other one, Volnath, who was the old man who's killed by Yuta.
In the Borg costume, yeah.
Yeah, you touched. He played, I knew him from something, and then this was it. He played the angry old motel owner who has a great little role in From Dusk Till Dawn.
Oh, yeah.
Where they go and they ring the bell repeatedly and goes, what the hell's wrong with you? That was him. So, of course, written by and starring Quentin Tarantino, who appeared as himself in Muppet Wizard of Oz, where he pitched Kermit a bloody and violent version of the story.
Oh, my God.
Which Kermit rejects. It's like a cutscene in the middle of Muppet Wizard of Oz.
That's so weird.
Quentin Tarantino. So, yeah, Volnath.
What a connection.
What a connection. And it makes sense because they're the same episode.
They're so similar. I mean, both have a character trying to prove themselves, but in doing so, they hurt others. Like Yuta in Star Trek is trying to prove to her dead tribe that she will seek revenge, and she hurts so many people in the process. And Red causes harm to herself by distancing herself from her friends by trying to prove she can lead her own club. And she literally tortures Cotterpin. So she hurts people. She
really does. We're just lucky Cotterpin made it out alive.
We are.
That's the important thing. Both feature a female character wanting others to live by their rules, Red and her rules for her club, and Sovereign Maruk wanting the gatherers to live by their standards.
That's right. That's true. These strong female characters here. Both has characters wanting to be members of an exclusive club. Red, Gobo, and Sprocket's clubs in Fraggle Rock, and the gatherers wanting to become a part of the Acamarian Society Club.
Mine's very similar. Both feature people forming in and out groups.
Okay.
Doc and Sprocket excluding dogs from their underdog club for any number of reasons. And Maruk and the Acamarians excluding the gatherers because they're like animals and parasites.
Oh, yes. That's true. Oh, God. What? Do you hear something far away? Yeah! Oh, there it is.
Transporter.
It's closer now.
It's closer.
Transporter malfunction.
All right, it's time of the show where we take one character from one episode and switch them, and then vice versa. So what you got for us, Steve?
Trek to Rock this week, I'm going to bring over Yuta and replace Red, slowly seeking vengeance on the ones who she once called friends who betrayed her and refused to join her club.
She just touches their face and they fall over dead.
Yes.
Trek to Rock, I'm going to have Counselor Troy come over to replace Moki. Because Moki's always trying to mediate everyone, but she isn't very good at it because they're always just out of control. And I think Troy could really have come in there and do a really good job calming down Red in this episode and working through her issues. You know, we could have avoided a lot of trouble throughout that.
I guess from like a cross-casting perspective, Moki really is the Troy.
She tries to be, yeah exactly. She's our counselor.
And then Riker's Boober, because, you know, Boober fucks.
Down in Fraggle My Rock. Oh.
Yeah. Rock to Trek, I'm going to bring over Cotterpin to replace Chorgan. I like the image of her just screaming up at Maruk across the table. Doozers deserve equal representation.
I could see it. Similarly, I'm going to bring Cotterpin over to replace Yuta. Then it would be all the more devastating when Riker has to obliterate her in the end. We just hear the sad screams of Cotterpin as she's disintegrated by a phaser blast.
And the whole episode is her climbing up on tall things because it's the only way she can touch people's faces.
Just wait a minute. I'll be up there in a second.
Can you come closer? Lift me up.
Kills them all. Oh, man. Well, that, in fact, brings us to the end of episode 160 of the MuppeTrek Podcast.
Join us next time for Fraggle Rock episode, The Secret of Convincing John.
And Star Trek The Next Generation episode, The Defector.
So from the lovers, the dreamers, and us.
Live long and prosper, everyone. Thanks for listening to the MuppeTrek Podcast. Be sure to follow us on social media on Facebook and Twitter.
Subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, or your favorite podcast platform.
This podcast has been brought to you by A Play on Nerds.